almost don't want to clap after that, right? Just let the sound of your breath be the applause. As the lights are going down, as our band is getting settled, I invite you to, as you take a few deep healing breaths, I like to think about the deep breath as the first step of our prayer. Deep breath takes us into our heart. And it even becomes more easy for me when I imagine breathing through my heart. So just do that a few times, breathing through your heart. And I'm going to light our first candle today. First Sunday of Advent is for faith. And so I invite you to think about the word faith. I invite you to open up your heart and your mind to set an intention to go more deeply into the power of faith. Our co-founder says that it is the most important of the 12 powers that he taught about. It's the power on which all the other powers stand. So I invite you to, as you continue to take a few deep breaths, to listen to the words of a Jewish philosopher, Martin Buber. He said, "Listen. You should utter words as though heaven were opened within them, and as though you did not put the word into your mouth, but as though you had entered the word." So I invite you to take one more deep breath and let me read that again. You should utter words as though heaven were opened within them, and as though you did not put the word into your mouth, but as though you had entered the word. So this morning, I invite us to breathe through our heart and imagine entering the word faith. Entering into the energy of the frequency of faith. Entering into the dynamic, creative power of faith. Entering into the word faith as if it is a cathedral, as if it is a beautiful mountain valley filled with all the things that bring you hope and faith and peace. Trees and flowers, wildlife, beautiful sky, beautiful mountains, whatever your picture of faith is. Maybe it's the first time you fell into the eyes of a newborn baby and saw the universe looking back at you. Maybe it's the first time you held a puppy or a little bird that had fallen out of the nest and you helped it get back in. Maybe it was the first time you went to the ocean or climbed a tree or felt the love of a friendship, felt yourself a part of, felt yourself belonging in the heart of someone else. Maybe it's the first time you felt oneness with this one power, this one presence, oneness with all life. Take another deep breath and we enter into the word faith for a few moments of silence. faith in our own hearts, faith in the hearts of all those that we're holding close in our prayers, our heart of love, faith that our species has the capacity to make the right and perfect choices and decisions for a world that works for all life, all peoples, all life. So today we enter into the word of faith, and the word becomes manifest in our lives. We pray in the name and in the light of the living presence, known by many names. This morning we'll call it the consciousness of the Christ. And we say, so it is, and so we do let it be. Namaste. So I'm so glad for the puppet show. I'm glad for my little child within who loved being told a story about moving a rock. How many of us have had life experiences that felt like rocks and that we needed to budge out of the way? How many of us feel so familiar with faith that we feel like we've got it completely covered? So it's okay to talk about it a little bit more today. Faith. It's the first Sunday of Advent, so beginning an adventure, the story tells us that it was a journey towards Bethlehem, towards the place where the Christ consciousness would be brought into the world, and we're all on that journey. We're on that journey right now. Every December we remember that we're on this journey, and it's called Advent. Why? Because it's a grand adventure. It really is. It's a grand adventure. So today we're going to practice walking on water. And we'll be gathering down at the Surfside Pier. So the most famous story, from the Bible is how Jesus sent the fishermen on out, his disciples on out into the boat. There was a storm. He was on shore. And suddenly they saw him walking on the water toward the boat. And Peter, the impetuous disciple, Peter, who was a hot-headed guy, he had been a killer of people of the new way, but he shifted his consciousness, and he was now a lover of the new way and a teacher of this new kind of consciousness in the world. And he said, I want to do that. And so Jesus said, well, come on. And you know the story. He's walking on out towards Jesus, and Peter begins to think, Lord, I believe, but help me in my unbelief. Have you ever had to say that prayer?
Yes.
I have faith, but help me deepen into that faith. I've got some rocks in the road. And so as the story goes, Peter was able to meet that consciousness in the story of Jesus on the water, even in the midst of the storm. So there's a priest and a rabbi and a Baptist preacher. And they're on a great hike. And it's cold weather. They come to this lake, and it's very cold. And the only way to get across is to swim across. And so the priest goes into prayer, and he said, this would be a good time to walk on across the lake. And so he walks on across the lake. And then next thing you know, the Jewish rabbi is walking across the lake too. And this Baptist preacher is going, holy moly. And he's walking up and down the shore, and he's trying to figure out how to get over to the other side of the lake. And the priest turns to the rabbi and he says, do you think we should tell him where the rocks are? It's always good to have somebody in your life who tells you where the rocks are. And you probably know who those people are for you. They'll call you in the middle of the night, or they will answer the phone when you call them. They're there to hold your hand in the hardest of times, energetically or literally. They help you to know where the rocks are, so you can walk on across. So this is the most famous scripture about faith. It's the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen, or the way I learned it, the substance, the matter, the evidence. It's the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not not seen. It's the manifested results of our faith. Mark says, in the book of Mark, he reports on the story where the woman touched the hem of the garment of Jesus. Remember what Jesus said? He said, your faith made you whole because you touched into faith. You touched into this consciousness. You made the decision. You chose to touch into faith. So, Charles Fillmore says it's the foundation of all the other powers. That's how important faith is. It touches everything. So much, it's the perceiving power of our mind. We talk a lot around here about reframing the story, looking for the higher picture, looking for what's working together for our good, even in the most difficult of circumstances. That's new thought thinking. That's the faith thinking. That's the room that's full of pony poop and you're looking for where the pony is. You know, you're not complaining about the room full of pony poop. You're looking in all the corners to see where that pony is. I love that more than some of the scriptures. The pony story. So, we have our storms. We're in the midst of our storms. Can we walk through the storm? So here's what I feel about walking on water. I feel it's possible to literally walk on water. Why do I feel that? Because I've seen things that are unexplainable in the normal world of logic and rationalization. You can call them miracles if you want. You can call them defying the verdict of the way things are said to be or the way the doctors tell you it's going to be. But I've seen people defy verdicts. Yeah. I've seen miracles happen. How many of you feel that you, yes, come on, y'all, more hands go up than that. So, the first time I read Autobiography of a Yogi, which I put off reading for years because I thought it was a pagan person writing, he wrote, Yogananda wrote about modern day events that speak to the miraculous consciousness. The yogis of India defying the laws of gravity and the laws of 3D dimension, but the miraculous consciousness, like was discussed and stories told in the volumes of the masters of the Far East. The volumes of when modern day researchers went to India and witnessed things that cannot be explained in our Western thinking. So yes, I believe it's possible to walk on water, but here's something that I think is even more powerful than literally walking on water. Some of what our human family is called to do and live through and experience, and we're so resilient, we come on through to the other side with open hearts, healed minds, sometimes healed and cured bodies. We keep staying resilient even when life feels so hard and tough. To me, that's as big as walking on water. We also can look at it this way. We walk through our lives standing on the subconscious that's leading some of our thinking. And when we are brave enough to do our inner work and explore what our beliefs are based on and what is causing some of our behavior, when we're brave enough to do that, in my opinion and perspective, we're walking on water. We're creating the miraculous consciousness. So I don't want to discount the incredible stories that have come out of many places, including the Bible, about miracles, but I think we're walking on water all the time. Every time we say yes to continuing the journey, even when things feel so hard in the world. Let's take a deep breath from that. When Jesus said, you're going to do all the things I did and greater, I feel we're living in the days when we're doing it. Just being willing to open our eyes in the morning, get up, and continue exploring and practicing this idea of being the light of the world, that to me is walking on water. Instead of just hiding away and not wanting to engage in the world because it feels so hard. Yes, we'll take some time of isolation. I do. Yes, we'll take time apart. I do, don't you? We'll take our time in the desert doing our inner work, and then we'll come back. The point is we come back. To me, that's walking on water. So this is a Unity teacher who wrote the book, Eye of the Storm, Gary Simmons. These are his steps for walking through the storm, and I would add these are the steps for walking on water. The first premise of this book is, everybody take a deep breath, there's no one against you. So somebody's mind just went, oh yeah, right. I have a list. So this is big perspective from this Unity teacher that if we want to walk on water, we cannot walk through the world thinking that the world is against us. People have their own process, their own beliefs, their own subconscious that they're working with. There is no one literally against us. There's a lot to say about that. Sure looks like there's somebody against me. What is truer for me is they are for what they need the world to look like. But it's not really against me. And the next one is very similar. The entire universe is for you. The entire universe, some say, is conspiring for our good, for our awakening, for our transformation. The entire universe, not just a little part of it, not just a little corner, not just a little place, but the entire universe evolving and working together for our awakening. Wow. How special are we? And you are here to increase the intensity of the light. Remember that question that we had last week from the chief of the Lakota Nation? He said, you are here to decide the future of humanity. Did you think you were here for something less? Same kind of idea. Every event, every experience is meant to increase the light of you. And I know we have a few events on our list. Didn't look like we were increasing the light. But I tell you, if your life has been like mine, you look back at some of those hard events and you go, wow, if it hadn't been for that, I never would have increased the light of me. And lastly, every experience and situation in your life has positioned you for your life purpose and maximized your learning and growing. And I would add, it has perfectly positioned you for your life purpose, your learning, your growing, your deepening, your awakening. When we get into these four aspects of walking on water, of walking through the storm, there's really no longer any debate. It's a given. We are backed up by the evolutionary consciousness of the entire universe. There's no place else we need to go to get a bigger version of that love and that energy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's better than an amen. Wow. So, walking on water. This is a story about a woman at Palo Alto Unity who came to our workshop that we did there years ago, and she had something really hard to work on, so she asked us to come to her house the next day and work with her privately. So David and I went. And the first thing we did was we listened to her diagnosis that she had been given, which is stomach cancer. And so as I was taking a deep breath, deepening into that Holy Spirit consciousness to know how to proceed, I heard my husband say, so, what's making you sick to your stomach? And I'm thinking, David, give her a second. Let us create the atmosphere of healing. So, what's making you sick to your stomach? And without missing a beat, she said, well, what what's really making me sick to my stomach is the murder of my daughter at a red light in Los Angeles. She said, that's really making me sick to my stomach. So we did healing work with her, which included David doing a prayer with her to take her into this consciousness of walking on water. This consciousness where it's the consciousness that defies the medical verdict that told her she had 6 months. And so this is a version of that prayer. I call forth the infilling of the divine light of the Christ. Just take a deep breath into that. I call forth that infilling of the divine light of the Christ. I call forth a perfect circle of light and love to surround you. I call forth the holy healing breath of God to breathe within you now, and I call forth the power of the Holy Spirit to move through you now. She made a decision that day to begin a correspondence with the killer of her daughter. He was sitting on death row. She began a correspondence with him and his mother. She eventually went to visit with the family. They began to have Thanksgiving and Christmas together. She had lost her daughter. They had lost their son. She eventually went to the prison and visited with this young man. Now here's the part that I can't prove to you, though we have corresponded with her. We've been in contact with her. It's been many years now. That on her chart is written remission. If I were writing on the chart, I would write walking on water, miracle event, Christ consciousness at work, the evidence of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. She was able to move into a place of forgiveness and acceptance. And let me tell you what did it for her. She had a dream about 3 weeks after she made the decision to open up to healing. In the dream, her daughter was sitting cross-legged like a yogi in the prison cell with her killer. And in the dream, she looked into her mother's eyes and she said, I have forgiven him. Can you do the same? She was sitting in prison with him. Now, I don't know how all this works, but I can tell you, I believe as if it is a fact that that is happening all over the planet. People of prayer consciousness, people of deep Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, compassionate consciousness, are energetically sitting in the prisons with people who have forgotten how to walk on water. This is a huge thing. In unity, we relax, concentrate, meditate, embrace the mystery or the silence, and give thanks. This prayer can help us walk on water. But it always starts with something called decision. We have to make the decision to enter into that place where we're available to walking on water. You have to take the first step and trust that either the rock's going to be there or the water's going to hold you up. So next Sunday, David's going to talk on It Is What It Is. And he's going to continue this idea of moving into this miracle consciousness even when it looks like circumstances and events are unchangeable, unhealable, incurable, never going to change. It's always been this way and it's never going to be any different. We are being asked to walk on water and do our inner work so that we can shift the beliefs we're holding in our subconscious. Have we figured it out yet? Many of us still operating on old beliefs that have been thousands of years moving through the human family, and now we're shifting them, transforming them. We are up to huge work. Please take a deep breath with me. Close your eyes. touch your own heart if that feels comfortable and ask yourself this question: am I willing to walk on water? Am I willing to step into the word faith? Am I willing to approach what appears to be unchangeable as if there's a change possible and that I can be a part of it with my thoughts, my words, my attitude? What looks like a rock in your path right now? Am I willing to know that that rock can move, that I can walk on water, or someone's going to tell me where the rocks are?